So my name's Serena, and I've been a volunteer facilitator with Climate for Change since July last year. When I first signed up, I was at a point in my life where I was very concerned about climate change, but feeling pretty distressed and overwhelmed about my ability to take effective action. Being a millennial, I had about 6 different ethical shopping apps on my phone. But I was starting to realize that I was putting 24/7 energy into actions that in the bigger scheme of things were the equivalent of one cow farting in a paddock. And it was tiring and lonely. The past 9 months have completely changed me. I now get excited rather than stressed about my part in the climate movement. And I have more hope than you'd ever expect from a young activist living with today's politics. I'd like to share a few stories with you. At a Climate for Change gathering that I facilitated for my own friends back in November, I'd invited my old housemate. She was someone who didn't seem very engaged with climate change. I don't think we'd spoke about it once in the time we'd lived together. During the gathering, it became apparent that she had genuinely no idea about the scale or seriousness or urgency of climate change. For the rest of the evening, she participated and seemed positive, but she messaged me the next evening saying she was really confronted by it all. I didn't really know what that meant, what she would do with this pending apocalypse I'd just presented to her. And I must say, I expected her to run for the hills. Instead, she immediately went out and that week changed her bank and her super account and told all her friends about it. She then volunteered to bring prospective facilitators for us and book them in for trainings. And now she's become one of the coordinators for our monthly volunteer movie nights. At the second gathering I ever facilitated, one of the attendees approached me at the end and said, "Thank you. I know all this. This is what I studied, but tonight was exactly what I needed to motivate me back into action and feel like there's hope." She went on to host her own gathering, which I facilitated. At the end of the night, I mentioned to her and the other guests that the next morning there was going to be a rally in the city to protest the proposed Adani coal mine. She said she'd never protested before, and so she'd have to think about it. And I texted her that evening and she didn't reply, and I just assumed she wasn't going to show up. But the next morning, in the rain, there she was, and we ended up being front and centre for the march. And so there were pictures of us in the media, we had loads of fun. She told all her friends about it, and then went on to volunteer as one of the fundraising fellows for this year's crowdfunder. Time and time again, I see people at all different levels of engagement, from no previous knowledge to a degree in environmental science, being invigorated by our gatherings and using those discussions and motivation as a starting block for activism and community building and citizenship, and enjoying doing so. Feeling that their involvement is not a sacrifice in a sea of indifference, but something that actually gives hope and meaning and has momentum. The story that has moved me the most actually comes from another facilitator. She was telling us about a family get-together she'd gone to. One of her aunts is a devout follower of Andrew Bolt, and hence sceptical of anything involving the words climate or change. This facilitator knew it would be a tough conversation with her aunt. So rather than forcing her point, she instead tried really hard to just understand her aunt's position and why she felt so defensive and threatened. It turns out her aunt's concern was that the changes she would need to make, or we would need to make, to tackle climate change, she felt would make her lifestyle much more difficult. For instance, she thought she'd no longer be able to use plastic bags, and so How would she carry her trash down several flights of stairs, down the long drive to the garbage bin? The facilitator explained to her that threatening her way of life was certainly not the intention, and rather what we're trying to achieve is actually safeguarding the fundamentals of our way of life. The conversation came to a relatively feisty but still amicable end, and nothing more was mentioned. Then a month later, for Christmas, her family met again. They aren't a family that gives gifts, but this time her aunt singled the facilitator out from her other cousins and gave her a check made out to Climate for Change. Being a facilitator has been the most enlightening experience of my life. I've come to learn that I judge far too quickly and far too easily. That the people you least expect to give will often be the first to give, or give the most. I've learned that when you reserve judgment, when you treat people with respect and warmth and openness, they will respond with those same qualities. Wow, I'm about to burst into tears. So I'd like to ask you all, on behalf of these 70 other facilitators we've now trained, this was not staged.
Serena.
With all the respect and warmth and openness they volunteer, will you help fund our fundraiser? Thank you.